Hey guys, welcome to the Heart of David. Um, Today's topic is child sacrifice. And when you see this video, I made this video already, by the way, erased it. You never know what someone's going through on the other side of video editing. Someone who does a video and edit it. It takes a lot to do, and especially when you lose something. Wow. So let's get right into this. One of the reasons why, okay, so this video I'm going to show you, you're going to want to see it, but it may make you sick. It may make you sick. And in fact, I'm borrowing it from Living Waters, but it's not their original stuff anyways. The reason I'm showing theirs is because it has a piece that I can't find elsewhere on C-SPAN 2. And thanks to Living Waters, but I mean it's not even their material, but I am taking it from them, so God bless them. I'm reading the book of Jeremiah right now, and I read a lot of the Old Testament, and then sometimes I switch over to the New Testament. You can see this, I forget what it is, the Valley of the Son of Hinnom Valley. There was child sacrifice. They were sacrificing children to, well, you might want to say Satan, but say Molech. And who is Molech? Molech is probably likely all of their gods, all of the gods. All of these false gods that they're doing all this stuff to are all the same thing. This is Satan. I tried to look up to see how many children were sacrificed to Molech or to, I'm looking specifically at the very end of like Manasseh, right? And that's the reason why God is so angry near the end, right? And just think about it. I want you to think about this, and I want to do a comparison. And people are going to say there is no comparison. A baby is a baby once it comes out of the womb. Like I'm gonna show you just like the kind of analogy to show you how stupid that really sounds. And when you hear this man speak about this, you're going to think the same. I'm sure many of you won't, or some of you won't. They would present their kids. I don't know if it was for fertility type of rites, all that type of stuff, satanic rituals, orgies, whatever they were doing. And they would put a baby, as you can see in the picture here, and they would put it on the arms there, and then they would light it on fire. Sorry, I forget exactly how it is, but I believe these arms, once they present that child, they put that child in the arms, like those arms are burning really, really hot. So you can imagine the pain that a little child had to go through. And what did God say? He said, because I'm reading Jeremiah, and he says, they burned children through the fire, and it never came into my heart. It never came into God, so that's the only part in the Bible you ever see that God ever says, it never even came to my mind. God's mind is heart anyways. That tells you something. So you know this. I looked for how many children have been sacrificed by Judah, by whoever, by Israel. I can't find a definitive number or anything, so I'm not going to present one. Excuse me. On the flip side, I'm going to go over to this video. And what I'm going to show you, it's an ex-abortion doctor. And he's going to describe to you what he does. So if you don't understand what abortion is, I think I lost this video for a good reason, because they don't want you to see this. Probably Satan got in my way somehow. You're going to think differently about this. And I did another video telling you that what the clips that they use with teeth on the end. And I'm going to comment during it, so don't get angry when I comment during it. It's a video that I think that every person, especially the people who are pro-choice, need to see. So let's take a look. I want to say two things before I begin. The first is, you're going to hear at the very beginning here, but you're not going to hear a lot about it. You're not going to hear anything about it. Planned Parenthood, like we've all heard this before. You hear about the things that they, I'm sure you've heard, if you're on the internet, if you're on YouTube, you've heard it at some point, that black people think that the black community is being targeted by Planned Parenthood, and it stems down to Jim Crow. I never wanted to weigh in on this. I don't know. This isn't something I want to talk too much about. But when you look at it, I'm starting to believe that the likelihood, it looks more likely. Okay, I don't want to say much more about that. When you look at the, you really can't do anything until you actually look at the stats yourself. The second thing I want to say before I play this video is this. Now, here's the analogy I'm going to use. And it's just so ridiculous that people don't make sense in their own mind. They're not smart enough to recognize that it's true. So I'll give you an example. Here's a beeswax candle. I'll just pretend let's pretend it's the vaginal whatever. Sorry for using that word. Let's just say it's a space where a baby's going to come out. Okay, so once a baby comes out, they call it a baby. When it's still in there, they call it a fetus. Right up till birth. So what happens when a baby? What happens when a baby is he's got his legs sticking out? So the legs are alive, but the rest isn't. This is a kind of stuff they try to use propaganda with, to tell you that once it's like it's not a baby, not a baby. Literally, that is what you should use a comparison with people when they're debating you. That for those very last seconds, is it a baby here? Is it a baby there? I think it's an excellent analogy. Let's listen to this. If you can't stomach this, last thing I say, to me, to God, I can't see this any other way but being child sacrifice. When you consider 60 million children have died in this type of manner, I don't know. I'm not a OBGYN, right? So I don't know what these pills do versus taking the baby out. I don't know the ratios of one versus another, but this is horrific. Listen to this.
Time to stop wasting time, get on with meaningful work, and stop picking on women and trying to take their choice away. I yield back the balance of my time.
The time of the gentleman has expired. We welcome our distinguished witnesses today. Do you and each of you swear that the testimony that you are about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? And I'll now begin by introducing today's witnesses. The first witness is Dr. Anthony Levatino. Dr. Levatino is a board-certified obstetrician gynecologist. Over the course of his career, Dr. Levatino has practiced obstetrics and gynecology in both private and university settings, including as an associate professor of OBGYN at the Albany Medical College. And Dr. Levatino, we'll begin with you. Welcome.
Thank you, Chairman and members of the committee. I only have 5 minutes, so I'm going to get right to it. Second trimester D&E abortions perform between roughly 14 and 24 weeks of gestation. Your patient today is 17 years old. She's 22 weeks pregnant. Her baby is the length of your hand plus a couple of inches. And she's been feeling her baby kick for the last several weeks, but she's asleep on an operating room table. You walk into that operating room
The baby kicks, is that alive?
scrubbed and gowned, and after removing laminaria, you introduce a suction catheter into the uterus. This is a 14 French suction catheter. If she were 12 weeks pregnant or less, basically the width of your hand or smaller, you could basically do the entire procedure with this. But babies this big don't fit through catheters this size. After suctioning the amniotic fluid out from around the baby, you introduce an instrument called a Sofer clamp. It's about 13 inches long. It's made of stainless steel. The business end of this clamp is about 2.5 inches long and a half-inch wide. There are rows of sharp teeth. This is a grasping instrument. When it gets a hold of something, it does not let go. A D&E procedure is a blind abortion, so picture yourself introducing this and grabbing anything you can blindly and pull, and I do mean hard, and out pops a leg about that big, which you put down on the table next to you. Reach in again, pull out an arm about the same length, which you put down on the table next to you. And use this instrument again and again to tear out the spine, the intestines, the heart and lungs. Head on the baby that size is about the size of a large plum. Can't see it, but you pretty good idea you've got it if you've got your instrument around something and your fingers are spread about as far as.
So far what you heard. A lot of people forced in courtrooms and stuff like that to hear this, and they finally change their mind. People are blind, aren't they? They don't understand. At least I think most people don't understand this is what they do. They murder them, man. They tear them apart alive.
As they go. You know you did it right if you crush down on the instrument and white material runs out of the cervix. That was the baby's brains. Then you could pull out skull pieces. And you have a day like I had a lot of times. Sometimes the little face comes back and stares back at you. Congratulations. You just successfully performed a second trimester D&E abortion. You just affirmed her right to choose.
One more question, Dr. Levatino. Why did you end your practice of doing abortions?
I did over 1,200 abortions over a 4-year period in private practice, not counting the ones that I did during my training. I met my wife during my first year of training at Albany Medical Center. We got married about a year later and found that we had an infertility problem. After years of failed infertility treatment and several years trying to adopt a child, we were blessed with adopting a little girl that we named Heather in August of 1978. As sometimes happens in those situations, my wife got pregnant the very next month, and we had 2 children 10 months apart. 2 months short of my daughter Heather's 6th birthday, she was killed in an auto accident and literally died in her arms in the back of an ambulance. Anyone who has children might think they have some idea of what that feels like, but unless you've been through it yourself, you have no idea whatsoever.
Wow, you would think in your mind that's almost poetic justice of God, right? But there must be some reason. I don't find that a coincidence at all. I can't imagine so.
I know people find it hard to believe, but what do you do after disaster? You bury your child and then you go back to your life. And I don't remember exactly how long it was after my daughter died that I showed up at Albany Medical Center OR number 9 to perform my first second trimester D&E abortion. I wasn't thinking of it as anything special. This was routine to me. But I reached in, literally pulled out an arm or leg and got sick. You know, earlier on I described stacking up body parts on the side of the table. It's not to, gross people out, to use a simple term. When you do an abortion, you need to keep inventory. You have to make sure you get 2 arms and 2 legs and all the pieces. If you don't, your patient's going to come back infected, bleeding, or dead. So I soldiered on and finished that abortion. And I know it sounds, as I said, hard for people to believe, but I'm telling you straight up my experience. You know, after over 1,200 abortions, first and second trimester up to 24 weeks and all the rest of it, and being very dedicated to it, for the first time in my life I really looked. I really looked at that pile of body parts on the side of the table. And I didn't see her wonderful right to choose, and I didn't see all the money I just made. All I could see was somebody's son or daughter. And I stopped doing late-term abortions after that, and several months later stopped doing all abortions.
Thank you.
I can't I can't imagine, that's what you sign up for when you're OBGYN or whatever, gynecologist, to perform surgeries, to do that. Man, that's not surgery. That is literally killing somebody in the worst way, man. Crushing them, cutting them, ripping them. Like those that's a life, man. And if you're voting for Kamala Harris, I don't really even want to talk about elections and all that type of stuff, but that's pretty much what you're voting for. That's pretty much what you're voting for. I just think it's horrific the way that those children die. And, oh yeah, I wanted to say this. I think it's quite clear that America is being judged somehow. Who knows what will happen? Maybe, who knows? Maybe Donald Trump will go in and there will be some peace. No, I certainly know there's been a lot of prayers since this administration now that's been in has turned the world upside down. But I can tell you something. This is how I'm going to finish off. By those amount of deaths, 60 million, whatever way you want to look at it, all you have to do is listen to that doctor again. How do you think it looks in God's eyes? So people often wonder, sorry if I got itchy nose. People often wonder, people won't look at sin. What is sin? Why is it so bad? And stuff like that. And, the thing is, this is the first thing that should be taught, I think, about Christianity. And I'm not even going to call it Christianity. I'm just going to call it, there is a God, there's one God. And we should all believe in the same thing. In Jesus Christ, God, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. We deserve judgment for this. That's what I think. So what does it feel like to God when one of these little ones dies? And remember what God says about getting in the way of a little one. I believe that pertains to that as well. This is what they don't teach you. They should teach this right from the beginning, because it's a very simple concept. People would understand Christianity so much easier. When you and I do even the small sin, to God, it's like it would be the equivalent of us seeing our parents killed. Something like that. It's that bad. Because God is holy. God can't sin. He can't stand to see it happen. And there's got to be justice for it. So imagine what God is seeing as we're killing his creations that are living. And you wonder if there's, why the world and why America and why North America, why the West looks this way. Take prayers out of school, you see the way things are going. They're not going well. And most people don't think. And I didn't. As a Christian, I didn't really think about abortion that much. But now I understand how much of a big deal this is. And we're under judgment.